Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to another what's the show that we're talking about, and also the show that we're doing?
It's an episode
Yeah,
of Sour Graps.
yeah. What's the show
With
we're
you
talking
as
about?
always is me. You're Alex Pulowski, and everything sucks.
But what's the show we're talking about, and what day does it happen on, and what's the date today?
I just so happen to have that information, Alex.
Okay, please.
NXT
Sorry, I'm
show
so unprepared tonight.
for May 6th, 2025. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats at humperchats.com. Do leave a thumbs up on this video. We would very much appreciate it. The more likes that we get, the more validated Alex and I feel in our value as human beings. So
it's true.
It helps us in the algorithms, but our self-esteem's contingent on it. So no pressure or anything, but leave a thumbs up. Hey, we have over 166,000 subscribers to this YouTube channel. If you're not one of them, well, darn it, what are you waiting for? Please do subscribe to this channel. That helps us a great deal. And you'll know when upcoming shows are, which is super helpful if you enjoy tuning into our content. And subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Tons of news over there. So if you're not familiar, if you're like, this is the first time I'm tuning in since all the releases and stuff, we have a free tier. Sensitive information, i.e. injuries, anything to do with the sex trafficking scandal, cuts, anything along those lines goes on the free tier. Stuff that Shawn feels gross monetizing, quite frankly, goes on the free tier. But on the pay tier, there's some happy contract news. TNA picking up some international signings. Chelsea Green signing a contract extension, which is great news for WWE. Some happier things behind the paywall as well, and some additional details on things as well. There's interest about Dakota Kai and top agents being interested in representing her as she hits the free agent market sooner than later. Shayna Baszler was backstage at this very program, Alex, on NXT right before she was cut.
Not this very program. Not this very program, meaning this.
No, she's backstage right now. I'm surprised you can't see it in our little StreamYard view, but Shayna Baszler.
I was like, Shayna, if you're here, come into frame so we could
come on and talk to
this would be what a huge get for our first post WWE interview.
Well, I mean, we got Mansoor that one time. Maybe we can get Shayna on sometime. We'll see what we can do, but I'm sure the days when cuts happened suck.
Yeah,
it's
they really
people losing their jobs. It's people losing their dream jobs. There are also, unfortunately, some AEW ROH contracts that are expiring, and that also sucks. Mm-hmm. People wondering about the disparity in reaction. I think it's probably to do with that WWE keeps boasting their record profits, and they're having Nick Khan coming out and saying things like, we don't bench people, and them turning around and being like, actually, Shotzi's on ice until July, and we're not going to renew her contract. So there's ugliness in what's happening, and then there's ugliness in the way that it's handled. I think a lot of people really don't like that they tried to like throw this out with the SmackDown bathwater, as it were, as they did on Friday night. So the disparity in reaction, of course, also firing versus contract expiring. Yes, that as well. But unfortunately, once again, NXT, pretty heavily affected by a lot of these cuts. And it also feels like some of these talent, especially on the women's side, probably not long for NXT much more, Alex. We've seen them consistently on Raw. So it's between the draft and people just being on Raw and people getting cut, you've got to wonder, like, what is NXT's roster going to look like in a couple weeks, couple months? But I'll throw it back over to you. I hate to start the show on a bummer note, but like you and I haven't had a chance to talk about what happened, and specifically NXT is very affected by this.
Yeah. Because a bunch of people from NXT got cut, like major people that got cut. I don't see how you can do. our first review since the cuts and not talk about it. Like Eddy Thorpe, first of all, who's been in main event programs recently and really coming into his own as a character, really interesting motivations. Like I was really excited to see where he was going to go, and apparently where he's going to go is out the door. Like that one did shock me.
Yeah, same.
Not as much as Cora Jade.
Like Cora was
leaving,
most surprising to me.
They kept just, here's a thing, there's not a thing. Here's a thing, there's not a thing. She had some injuries, but it didn't feel like there was no sustained push after the toxic attraction thing fell apart. So her leaving, while I think it's a big mistake by them, is not necessarily something I go, that's not completely out of left field, considering that they didn't seem to really have anything they really wanted to do with her. Cora Jade, like, that woman just felt like they kept telling us with the way they presented her, literally saying the words, "This girl is a star." Like, just kept saying it over. She absolutely, more than anybody else, I think, in NXT over the past couple of years, like, has fit the mold of the traditional, in the, let's say, the back half of the 2010s until now, traditional WWE main roster women's superstar. Like, so much more attitude than anything else. Everything else catches up to the attitude. You get the attitude first, everything else catches up. And a lot of times that happens, but like, it just feels like they pulled the plug on her in a way that I certainly did not expect. It felt like she had a lot more room to grow, but I thought there was no danger in them ever refusing to allow her that growth, to allow her time for that growth. I thought she's still so ridiculously young. Yeah. I thought for sure, like, okay, well, she's not there yet, but she's gonna get there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody looks at her and goes, well, this is it. She's plateaued. Like, I thought that she did not, in my opinion, she did not yet measure up to the standard they had set for her by the things they were saying about her and also the way they were presenting her. But I had no doubt that she would eventually eclipse that standard. And they just said, no, nah, bye. And that one more than anything else, the NXT realm threw me for an absolute loop.
I agree. I'm so fascinated by the performer that Gigi Dolan is, because she nailed the alternative weirdo and the bad girl trio, right? With Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction. But I remember when she turned babyface, she like cut that promo about her brother, and she came across as so sincere. Mm. And I was like, wow, she can. One thing we know that they often test in NXT is, can they play both sides of the coin? And I thought she was great with that, and so authentic in staying under that kind of character archetype that they set out for her, but being able to really pull some genuine heartstrings out of it. She almost read to me like Duke Hudson, where like there wasn't much left for her to do in NXT, but they didn't see her for the main roster, so this is where she ended up. She, I think, will absolutely kill it in TNA, and the Knockouts division needs some love. I'm not going to pretend I followed the TNA product all that well, right. But they let Gail Kim go because they're idiots. Sorry, there's right. No better way to put that than they're idiots if you let Gail Kim go. But the other aspect is, like, I don't follow it closely, but I look up and I'm like, a returning, God bless her, I'm happy that she's back in wrestling, but a returning Alicia Fox is like your world title challenger right now. But
with the talent exchange, if we've got her in TNA and Noam Dar in NXT, the reunion is coming up. But here you go. He's got to say Victoria Crawford. I mean, that's possible. But yes, I agree. I think also Cora Jade could just kill it in the indies. She could make tons of friggin' money just doing indie dates.
So Corazon was also the one that surprised me probably the most out of this crop because she was so heavily profiled. She was so highly regarded with the way that they presented her in the broadcast. And she was always around the title picture since she kind of came back from injury for the most part. Now, I don't know if they're using this talent exchange as like some sort of testing ground and maybe they didn't love what they saw with her in a different environment or what they were seeing recently, but she also just got back from injury not that long ago. So that's a disappointing one. Gallus, I think they're a great stable. They hadn't been being used for quite a while.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, totally surprised
they left a whole bunch of money on the table with Drew McIntyre leading a stable of Gallus, just running roughshod over the main roster. Those 4 Scottish boys. They'd be great. No, I can do it. No.
They'd be super fun. I think it's kind of hard to maybe buy the idea that Drew needs backup, but I would have been interested in seeing that for sure. And
we
then
just talked about last week, Jakara Jackson. Jakara Jackson was primed for at least a look-see at a singles career, and they were like, nah, we don't have any interest in that, even though you're super athletic and really charismatic. Nah. Even though we thought highly enough of you as a tag team to give you title matches on PLEs, main roster PLEs, nah. That just like an Oro Mensah, like he's been killing it in Evolve, and now he's going to be killing it not employed. Like last week's breakup sesh by the metaphor feels way more sinister now because it feels like, oh, we got to do something before they all get fired. And it was just like, yikes, man.
It's very weird because that one made it feel like obviously they knew that was coming. Yeah. But to be like, you're killing it on Evolve, JK. And then the other ones, I was like, there's no way that the rug wasn't pulled out from under them on Cora Jade because she was being pushed so recently. But I don't know. I don't know. I will just say that you know, it was funny on In the Weeds, Jeremy, and I think it was SB3 had a really good conversation about how they love to be like, man, you just got to be like Drew McIntyre. You go, you reinvent yourself, and you come back. And they say that like that happens all the time. And it Drew's kind of one of one in that regard. Like people were even saying like, what about Cody? And it's like, well, he requested his release and he had this whole other game plan set up and whatever. Like the idea that you can just work your way.
He co-founded the main competition for this company. Like it wasn't like he just went out and did some indie dates and they were like, you know what, actually he's pretty good, bring him back. Like he had to do a whole thing to get brought back at this point.
Yeah, he co-founded the competition. He went to ROH and New Japan, but like I don't like it when people make it sound like that's so easy because like nobody's done that more than Matt Cardona, and he has been open about wanting to be resigned, and he hasn't. And there's not much more that guy can do, right? Yeah. So, it's not. They say that. And there are certainly talent. Like I could see Cora Jade going out, killing it on the indies and returning. Absolutely. She's so young and she feels like the right wrestler for that ecosystem. She certainly had some comments after about some of her experiences there that were less than favorable. So maybe she wouldn't want to. Yeah. But I will say like, as much wrestling is on TV, as much as you and I review, Alex, as much as the one day that we take off, there's still wrestling on. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of wrestling jobs in this business still. Like there just isn't. Like when you actually look at it from an industry standpoint, how many people are on TV as wrestling performers? It's not a lot. And right now it's a more robust scene than ever. And on the independents, you have more opportunity to actually make money than ever. But like, when people say things like, I can't believe this person wasn't cut and this one was, or they'll be back, or they weren't that good anyway. Like the weight of what actually happened to these wrestlers is never lost on me. So that's my takeaway from it, is that I just hope for the best of them, no matter where they land up, and we can fantasy book and we can whatever. But like, as far as the interactions go, That part isn't lost on me, that a lot of people lost their dream jobs and a lot of them don't necessarily get it back. And it's not like you can just bounce to somewhere else. The only one that I'll say, aside, even Shotzi, like, man, they just formed Chemical X. But the Danny Palmer sounded like hers, she had multiple, I think hip surgeries.
Multiple hip surgeries and a knee replacement. Like
that's a lot to handle.
That's a lot to work through. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Like, how old?
But this other thing is that there are so many people who have promising college football careers and then blow out a knee or something, and then they never play again. Like, you can easily do something with something that is athletic and as high impact as professional wrestling at a very young age, where you have something happen to you where you're just done. Even if you recover from the thing, you're just done. And that's totally fine. And it's sad for her, but apparently her big thing is that she met Tank Ledger and they're together. And it's this wonderful thing. Like, thank God. Really? Yeah, that was her thing. Like, she says, thank God that I got to do this, even for a brief time, because it introduced me to Tank Ledger and he's my everything. So,
Okay, well, that's adorable and a beautiful takeaway on her part. But yeah, she's 27 and I went through all that. So, that aspect of it is not lost on me too. Like, physically, how these what these people put themselves through for us to review it is nuts. So
yes, so yeah, all of that happened on Friday, and so the Sour Graps SmackDown review was really just, here's what happened on SmackDown, blah 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 blah, and now let's talk about the releases. So we talked about that a lot, but I got so wrapped up in it that I got a couple of sour chats that I did not get to, and I'm going to say them now before we get started. And then I will give you all the pun topic, so you can stop yelling at me about it in the chat, and then we're going to review this episode. Okay, so these are the plans. Okay, here we go. Meet Normus says, thanks to Alex and the SGS for keeping me sane while I'm going through some hard times. That's hard times. WWE is dead to me. I'll stay with y'all for post shows, but after decades of gross behavior that is considered continued after VKM, I'm done. He asked if we can hear from the Linder, which I'm sure we will at some point tonight. So I'm not doing that now, but we'll do it later. For you.
Did you say that was Meet Normus?
Yeah.
We love you, Meet Normus.
The N and the H says, hey, Alex, giving you some money for reviewing SmackDown, but mainly having to talk about the releases. You and the SGS are the only reason I'm keeping up with WWE anymore. I hope the people released are able to work where they are happy. Screw WWE was the sentiment on all of those releases. Again, while acquiring a whole ass company and also boasting about record profits and also charging whatever, like how many thousands of dollars for SummerSlam tickets. You know what I mean? Everything's a business, but you choose what you spend your record profits on. And they chose to spend that on choose
what you bring to the forefront in those conversations. If you are constantly going to different venues saying record gate, biggest attendance, record profits, we don't bench people, and then you look at a bunch of people who got benched and then cut, that stuff reads really gross to a lot of people, and it sucks when people's contracts expire. But there's usually there's some grace around that, and that sometimes situations just don't work out, and also you've held up your end of the commitment as in this case, billion-dollar company to them from a payment standpoint. So it's there for people that are like, well, what's the difference? They lost their jobs. Notification, holding up your financial end. There's plenty of difference. So, and then the other thing was, we didn't talk about Riley Osborne, but that's true. That dude was injured.
Well, injured. Yeah.
That's the second time they've done that with injuries, because they did that with not Motor City Machine Guns. I was thinking Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
Because he was injured too. So that's nasty work. That's nasty work. Like, we know you can't work and that your job is physically reliant on what you do, but whilst you're injured, that's gross. Gross.
It is. Yeah, it's not great. Meet Normus saying that tonight is for sports ball. Hope NXT was cromulent. Well, funny you bring up sports ball, because I thought since we've done football puns before and baseball puns, we've never done basketball puns, and right in the middle of the NBA playoffs, and it's when we do a topic we've never done before, sometimes it turns out to be like, well, there's a reason we've never done it before. And sometimes it turns out like we surprised everybody and everybody had a whole bunch of whatever puns just sitting in their head they never thought about before. So tonight is basketball puns. I may regret it, but we're doing that because there's nothing else that really comes out before. So,
Alex, one other thing with the releases, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the fact that there was a main roster cut that affects not NXT, but this show, and that one of my favorite impressions of yours in Braun Strowman. Impressions live forever. He doesn't have to
forever.
Go anywhere.
He's no. Yeah, that is yes. Fine for the Canadians hockey puns. Basketball and hockey puns because we're in the middle of the hockey playoffs too.
We could have saved hockey for next week.
But I'm sorry, Meat Normus brought up sports ball, not sports puck. So that's why it got into my head. True. But yes, basketball or hockey puns. There you go. Fine? Good. I mean, come on, everybody. Michael Jordan Grace. It's right there. That's what it's right there. Okay. We're good. Okay.
LeBron James Cutler. I got you.
Yeah, fine. Okay.
Oh, I'll just say this too, because this is the last of my gripes, and this has nothing to do with NXT, but I find it absolutely disgusting that with Shayna Baszler and Braun specifically, the kind of like last mentions of them in the WWE sphere are a Paul Heyman joke about Shayna Baszler having a penis and Braun Strowman he sucks. That's why he's not on WrestleMania. Disgusted by that. I know it wasn't supposed to be heard by anybody, but it was. So screw you, man.
I think the last time Braun Strowman appeared for this company was on stage at that particular roast himself.
Oh God.
That was the last that was the last appearance he made for this company. So yeah, I mean it's interesting. So this was our big battle royal night. So we got
a battle royal or a battle royale?
I think battle royale consists mostly of killing everybody until there's one person left. That's battle royale. That's the movie. Battle royal, I think is fine. Because
I'm not Jeremy Lambert. Okay, I'm not advocating for in-ring murder as much as that guy does.
I mean, it's fine. I think it's battle royal. Zach Wentz arrived and made a face at Wesley, so that's where we've come to.
Right after releasing his fiance, by the way. I know,
released his fiance, and is like, "Hey, I'm sure you're in a fantastic mood about us. Will you do this thing?" So that's it. To start the show proper, we got DarkState with Saquon Sugars on the outside, which should never happen again. He was actually doing a lot of fun stuff on the outside, but that's not where he belongs. That man belongs in the ring.
Why are you on the outside during a battle royal?
It wasn't a battle royal.
Oh my God, what am I saying? I'm sorry.
I'm talking about everything in order.
I'm sorry. I'm all out of sorts.
It's okay.
I'm out of sorts. I was looking at the upper chats. I got confused.
I'm looking at your notes that you put in the document. So there you go.
Well, hold on. They're kind of Luis's notes, but I'm sorry. I was looking at Humper chats. I was distracted.
Who copied and pasted them? Because it was not I. Anyway,
most certainly it was me.
Saquon Sugars is the guy on the outside. If you're going to do these 6-man tags with one guy on the outside, the one guy who's never allowed on the outside is Saquon Sugars.
Yes, that I agree with entirely.
Yeah, he's the best in ring and the most charismatic of all of them. Speaking of charismatic, everyone's going to call me a hater. I'm just an accurate assessor of
hater
of what they present on television.
Like, I'm calling you Jamie because you're a hater.
He's by far the least athletic of any of the 6 guys in the ring. Now, when you have that as a thing that like is against you, because there are a bunch of great wrestlers who are not super athletic, you've got to add something else to it. And I'm sorry, standing in the middle of the ring and turning around to face the camera ain't enough. what is the other stuff that you bring to the table? Also, it does not help that whenever you stand in the middle of the ring and your two tag team partners, Hank and Tank, flank you. Hank and Tank with the flank.
The Hank and Tank flank.
The Hank and Tank flank. When Hank and Tank flank you, and you do the turnaround take, it doesn't help your cause. That Booker T is going, money shot, that's a money shot. Just please stop saying money shot. Like, Booker, your reaction to a certain move that Stephanie Vaquer does tells me that you definitely know the other meaning of the term money shot, okay, Booker? So you don't need to be yelling that on a broadcast television show. I want to see more of what makes Joe Hendry so obvious to all the people who love him that he's a top-tier dude. Because they're not presenting that whenever he comes to NXT. I want them to do that. They're not presenting it whenever he comes to NXT.
That much I agree with, but I know you, and you are a hater. I'm not saying you're an unjustified hater, but you're a hater. And
there's nothing that will cause me to be a hater more than being told by lovers of a certain thing how great it is, and then I look at it with fresh eyes and go, what am I missing? So that is me being a hater, when honestly I just want to see the things other people are telling me are there. But then when I ask them, what is it? But you just watch. No, specifically tell me the things that you think are so great about this dude. And nobody seems to be able to tell me what those things are. I feel like when I see greatness, I can call it out. Like, I was the first one to call out Obafemi's greatness.
That is true.
And I mean, like, because that jumped off the screen to me. And obviously they're not the same type of wrestler, but this is years ago now, but I've seen stuff that he does that I would call special. But it wasn't here. It wasn't on NXT television. Yes. And they're asking people who are unfamiliar with him to just buy in entirely to whatever they're showing you of him right now. And whatever they're showing you of him right now, like, to me, it's not worthy of that particular screeching delight whenever he turns around in the middle of the ring.
So there are a few things with this. The first is, he certainly is not presented like a world champion at another promotion. Like, right. That part is an issue. The second thing is, you can't have two guys on the program that both have a guitar thing. That's an overload of guitar thing. So what happens is one guy doesn't do a guitar thing, and that takes away some of his special sauce, because Elijah was also on the show, and he a pioneer of the guitar thing in wrestling, really.
Yeah.
But I do agree. So even at his most highly showcased, I think Joe Hendry is probably not the most for you guy in the world. But I also know you well enough to know you would be able to objectively look at it and be like, oh, that's the thing. It's not my thing, but that's the thing. Right. And that thing isn't presented to us on the NXT version of Joe Hendry. That I 100% agree with. Okay. I also feel like there's something that's kind of fun, and I feel like NXT has done, and WWE in general, has done a pretty abysmal job of showcasing what's special about him. But the live crowd clearly knows what is. And there is something, I saw this video a while back, and it was like, sometimes your guy is just your guy, and you can't explain it. Like, sometimes a dude is just your dude. Sure. And I was like, that's kind of like, weirdly, the most beautiful part about wrestling is like when you can't fully, like, I can tell you all the things I love about Zack Sabre Jr. I can tell you everything that's technical about him. I can tell you about how he's taking technical wrestling to like making up submissions and testing it in environments that it's never been tested before. And I can tell you how funny his promos are and all these things. But like, he's just my dude. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. So I think there's a lot of people that Joe Hendry is just like He's just their dude.
I fully get it. Like the former Miro, now Rusev, is my dude.
Yeah, he is.
You know, and there are a lot of people who just have never seen it in him beyond riding a tank to the ring. And I think it's absolutely self-evident.
Which is the highest form of cheating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely self-evident, but there are people who don't get it at all. So I fully understand having a dude that not everybody loves, but like yours is cheating. Like it's Zack Sabre Jr. Even people who don't like technical wrestling can watch what he does and go, "Oh, I've never seen anybody do that before." You know what I mean? Like it's like a stalling vertical suplex is a thing that almost everybody in WWE does. So it's not impressive when Joe Hendry does it because everybody does it. You know what I mean? Like there's other things that I'm sure that he can do and it's just he's not gigantic, but he's not small, so he's not fast, and he's strong, but he's not like crazy strong, and like so like he's a guy. And so like when you're a guy, you got to like then do a bunch of other stuff on top. This is why I say Obafemi has a cheat code built in, because look at him. And then on top, but again, so many guys who are like, look at him, just rest on those laurels for their entire career and don't try to get better at anything else. And you can tell Obafemi is always improving all those little areas that so many other look at him guys don't ever attempt. So when you have a guy like Joe Hendry, you got to figure out other ways of presenting him. And while I believe that Joe Hendry has more to offer than this, they've still never shown it. And that frustrates me as a viewer of a program.
Sure.
Just because I watch this every week, and whenever he's on, I'm going, well, where's the rest of it? And they don't seem to want to show it to me.
1,000,000% agreement with you there. Is that the secret sauce with Joe Hendry is, and he's had like a lot of appearances at this point.
Yeah, like he's gonna have more now. Like they've booked him into a major angle for the next PLE. So like
they sure did.
Let's get to more of it. I just hope he doesn't sing a song about Trick Williams where he's just like, Trick, you make me sick. Trick, you make me sick. Trick. Like that, because I made that up in 1 second, and there's a complete non-zero chance that is the chorus of the song that he makes, because Ethan Put On Some Clothes was awful. That song he sang for Ethan Page was terrible. So like, I want to see what he does. Figure out a way to like make this thing with Trick Williams into a major angle, because the PLE is going to need it. Like, so let's figure out a way to like, get that done. This match, the 6-man is fine. Again, Saquon Sugar should be in it. But Trick Williams shows up and pulls Joe Hendry out of the ring to attack him in the middle of a 6-person tag that has nothing to do with Trick Williams. And I just feel like Trick Williams, all wrestlers should be smarter than this. Trick Williams, you're in a battle royal later tonight, right? Where the thing that you want the most is on the line. A shot at a one-on-one match with the NXT World Champion. So you aggravating a guy who doesn't like you, where all that was required is for you to slip on a banana peel and you lose your opportunity, and that because it's wrestling and it's WWE wrestling, there's a 1,000,000% chance that guy you just pissed off is definitely getting involved in your battle royal shot. That was a completely unforced error by a guy I feel like we're not meant to believe is stupid. And they made him into a big dum-dum.
They did make him into a big dum-dum. I also I'm just not a fan of champions getting pinned. I understand that it's a necessary evil with this.
Well, yeah. I mean, but in this particular case, the baby faces were not winning this match. So one of the three of them was getting pinned. It's also a six-man tag, so you can't even have a disqualification. Like that's just the way it works. Also, like they hardly ever do disqualification in 6-man tag. So yeah, it was very, very odd that all this took place. They pinned Tank Ledger. We're almost certainly going to get DarkState versus Hank and Tank. I'm certainly not ready for Hank and Tank to lose the titles they just got. So we'll see how that turns out. But also, DarkState shouldn't be losing until you've like really
for a while.
you got to give them something for a bit. And so if they get that 2-on-2 match, I'm afraid they're just going to pin Hank and Tank.
So that was my thing about it was I had the same thought about. I was like, well, it's not going to be a DQ in a 6-man because WWE booking can sometimes get formulaic enough to where if this was on the main roster, especially, and oftentimes in NXT, you'd be like, well, it's just going to be a DQ because you're not going to pin either champions, but you're not going to have DarkState lose. They're brand new. I would just not book that match because I don't think either team should be taking pins. But you're right in that it's really early for DarkState to lose. And I also feel like with Hank and Tank, like they told a story to a moment, but they're such a young team that this should still be an establishing rate. Like I don't want them to lose yet. Like the story of them finding themselves isn't over because they're such a fresh young team. Like that kind of only really came alive with that build to the PLE. So I don't know what you do with that either. It's very possible they make it a triple threat with like the family or somebody, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, we had. Well, let's talk about it right now. We had a vignette for OTM coming back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and they said that they were seeing everybody who wanted a shot at the tag titles, but we're coming back. And whenever they do these vignettes for OTM, they always include like a Muppet Babies version of them, where it's like them as toddlers, but they have the same hairdo. Like I don't know what else to call it. It looks like a Muppet Babies version of OTM, where it's like these two kids walking through the streets, but one of them's got like a do-rag and braids flopping down, so we know that one is Bronco. You know what I mean? Like it's always a weird. Anyway, so I could
legendary.
They have several more TVs. It's very possible.
Yeah, they've got a while.
That you get Hank and Tank in a multi-team match. They just did a ladder match last time, but like this seems like a ladder match type of deal. It'd be kind of fun to watch, like Hank and Tank throwing ladders everywhere, and all these other big dudes doing that. So, yeah. Bronco Nima and Lucian Price, both, they don't quite have it yet, but you can especially Price has like crazy athletic charisma. And there's something to figure out there where it clicks. And we'll see if that happens for them in this next go around. Seems like Jada Parker has distanced herself from them. They don't have scripts anymore. So it's just going to be those two boys. Let's see if they sink or swim. It is hard to swim in the mud.
I would imagine so. I can't speak from personal experience. Programming note: Luis is going to get the the Humper chats that have already been sent, but my access doesn't seem to be accessible tonight. So Humper chats from here forth, but Luis is going to get the ones that have already.
Yeah. Oh, super chats only from here on out.
From here on out.
No more Humper chats, just no more humpies, only soupies.
We are only superb tonight. But the only Humper chat came in from my dad, so thank you. Greetings, SGS and Team K Lex. Let's have a great night despite the topic being NXT. Hail the council. The sisters are Lieutenant Photo, Mr. Normus, and Sir J.W. of Pringle. Thank you, Dad, for sending that. So only super chats from here on out. Yeah, it felt like Jada kind of outgrew being in a faction real fast and just launched herself into another stratosphere. So
there was a lot of two guys and a girl stuff while they were all together.
There was no pizza place.
We don't need that anymore. It's not like they're like, oh, we need to have this big mixed 6-person tag. You don't need to do those anymore. So we don't need them to be them together because they can't do anything. Like, what are they going to do? Like beat up her opponent? I feel like that's not even allowed on NXT. But Jambeard says, Alex, you're asking WWE to book a TNA talent well to show Hendry is good. That's asking a donkey to sing Sinatra, which would be.
Well, hold up. What if it's Dominic the donkey?
What if it's Dominic the donkey? And then he could just talk about chicken tendies.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, the talent exchanges are so weird because I'm always rooting for them. I always want promotions to work with each other, but so rarely do they go well. Somebody always seems like they're getting the short end of the stick. Now, that being said, I don't watch TNA very much. Like, I really don't. Right. So maybe on TNA, all the TNA talent are killing it to the highest extent of the law. But when it's the world champion, you would just kind of hope that they would take a little bit more care with that specifically.
Right.
I'm more interested to see now what these like hybrid contract situations with AEW and New Japan look like. Like if that'll come into play with WWE and TNA. Like Kevin Knight, perfect example. Like just signed with AEW, has gotten some really great reps, but he's gonna go do Best of the Super Juniors, right? So he's not going to be in a long-term story this second. I'm wondering if like that happens on the TNA WWE side, where it's just like, we just borrow you for a while so that
there's a lot of questions on the WWE TNA side. Like a lot of them with the new people who've just been released, like going there, but then being booked on NXT. Are you just having TNA pay their contract while they appear on the show you released them from? Because wouldn't that be money laundering? I don't know. I'm not gonna get into the particulars of it. But
my thing is like, to me, Mustafa Ali seems like he should be the TNA World Champion. But like, if they're doing this crossover stuff, maybe he doesn't want to work NXT. Maybe NXT doesn't want to open that can of worms, right? So my thing is like, if Gigi Dolan shows up as Priscilla Kelly in TNA. Does that mean she can't face anybody in NXT because she was just there? Like, those are the complications that I don't know if there's going to be anything contractually, but like if they become so heavy on former NXT talent, I do feel like former NXT talent have not been in positioned in a place where the crossover makes sense. Now we saw like Elijah today and we saw Fandango in the past, but those feel more like one-offs and they weren't holding titles. I don't think so. Maybe the system was, but that kind of stuff is an internal thing. It's a very large wrinkle that they're going to have to iron out. Like it's going to be one of those ones where it's like one of those tablecloths that's really thick. And it's like, no matter how many times you iron it, no matter how much steam you have.
I'm just waiting for the Nemeth brothers to appear. And Vic Joseph to be like, just when you think he's gonna zig, he zags. Ryan Nemeth, you know what I mean? One of those dumb, like, or Nick Nemeth or whatever. Like, yeah, one of those dumb things.
Well, today even with Elijah Elias, they were like, "My God, it's a lie!" Like they didn't know what to call him.
Dana Brooke by Elegance. Select Mayhem asking, is it basically because guitar? Is that also because gymnastics? Like, is it also this? Is it basically the same idea? I don't know.
That's honestly, that's a level of philosophy that I haven't thought through yet.
And Jam Beard saying Joe Hendry's Trick parody song should be based off of "It's Tricky" by Run DMC. If they're allowed to do it. And that last part might be the sticking part because so many of the stuff that I've seen that was very clever was just done at an indie show. Like nobody was going to sue them for that. But I mean, this, you feel like it might be more of a problem. Like I'm Drew Dabba-Dee Abba-Da versus Drew Galloway was one of the greatest parody songs ever, but it wasn't, on NXT.
And even TNA, Alex, I don't know because they were on Access and now they're not on Access anymore.
Right.
Like that still wasn't cable television. So CW is going to have something different to contend with stuff like that.
Okay. We got Carmen and Thea Hale just talking backstage, like old friends. And in comes Jada Parker, who's going to be mean to them. Then Jada Parker and Petrovich jawed each other and they challenged for a match.
Because she's gonna be mean to her. She comes in because she's gonna be mean to her.
That's right. She comes in to be mean to them. That's basically what she does.
You're not wrong, but that's the setup of
that is an accurate representation of this scene. I'm just saying. Um, so, um, so I'll just talk about this match now so we get it out of the way. It's good. Jada Parker has a new butt move. Did you catch her new butt move? It's a butt submission.
It's a butt mission, is what
it's a butt mission. It's a surfboard where she bends the person forward and sits on their back, but she's like, you better tap out. I'm gonna put my butt on you. Is a thing that like the older brother does to the younger sister. Like, you better tap out. I'm gonna put my butt on you. And like, oh no, he's putting his butt on me, Mom. That just feels like what that is. I feel like it's a surfboard. So like, there's ways of doing that don't involve the butt, but she wins with the butt to the face, aka the hypnotic on Carmen Petrovich, and then she decides to beat the hell out of Carmen Petrovich afterwards. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot. I watched the scene between Carmen and Jada on mute, and then I had to rewind it not on mute because there was a very specific motion that Carmen Petrovich did, but on mute it was just this. Okay, here we go. This is what Carmen Petrovich did while talking to Jada Parker. Here, this is what she did. Watch. She did this. That's on mute. And so I was like, what are you symbolizing? And I went back and she was like, you choked. And I was like, oh, you were coughing. Oh, because the way you put them, I was like, man, I thought we left all the horniness in 2022. Because
that wasn't 2.0 Hallmark.
That was a 2.0 Hallmark when we would be miming stuff. I know that Shawn Michaels was very fond of miming that particular act to fans back in the day. That's
true.
But not like to the other people in the locker room. That was too much. So I just thought maybe Carmen Petrovich will figure out. Maybe everybody we're gonna bring a mime in to teach everybody the universal symbol for certain things, and maybe that one isn't that. But anyway, she beats the hell out of Carmen Petrovich, I suppose, for miming that to her face 20 minutes prior, and then Thea Hale saves her. And then she goes ahead and beats up Thea Hale, but then Carmen Petrovich almost hits her with a kick. And then so now does Jada Parker have a friend? So we're gonna get a tag match, or is this just a Thea Hale versus? This is how we're keeping Thea Hale and Jada Parker busy.
I actually kind of liked somebody called it the booty boarding. Javier said
Booty
this sounds
boarding.
like. This move sounds like it should be called booty boarding instead of boogie boarding.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like I kind of dig it. I'm a big surfboard gal, not in the way that everyone says Shinsuke should be surfboarding. I love that submission. I think it looks so painful and nasty. When I was in my younger days of watching it, I can remember the first time I ever saw it was a CM Punk Bryan Danielson match because I wasn't watching anything outside of WWE yet. Everything before that was like John Cena did 3 things. And I was like, what is that? Because they were also countering them in all these really unique ways. It was like very, very pro wrestling core. And I love that move. And I also just like the idea of Jada like picking up new submissions. She's for her in-ring attitude, like her having submissions, I think is a fun thing to add to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm so rooting for Carmen Petrovich. And I don't know, I'm very glad the Ashanti thing is over. And obviously she comes out of that as a face. But I don't know if we've like, when I watch her in Bloodsport and I watch her tonight, I'm like,
I know.
It's still missing whatever that thing is that she has. And it's in there. So hopefully they'll find it. But I'm like, I don't know if she's I guess I don't see her as somebody in peril after I've watched her Bloodsport work.
I know.
Like, and she was kind of like in peril a little bit here. I hope they tap into her inner badass because I fully believe it's in there. So that would be cool. I don't know where this is going, but I won't not be along for the ride yet. I can't imagine what it's like to be Shawn Michaels right now when you lose the amount of talent that you did, and then you know that you're losing a bunch to the main roster. Like that, they've just put the handwriting so on the wall for that it's like, okay, so what do I do now? With I have a world title, I have a mid-card title, I should have tag titles. Like, who's leading the charge? Because they cut out some of the leaders. So I guess like from experience level appropriateness, this feels like something that would make sense. Like Jada's a little bit further along in the pack than Carmen, and Thea's a mainstay. So I'll watch it. I'll see where it goes.
Yeah. There was a thing backstage in the lead up to the Battle Royal where we got NQCC talking about, hey, we're all on the same page right now, says Charlie Dempsey. And I was like, you seem to be on a different page than everybody else, Charlie. This man, if there was any chance any of the three of you could win this Battle Royal, they're going to do something really dumb with that storyline. But thank God, none of you have a prayer of winning the Battle Royal. So the same page they were supposed to be on was a different page than any of them were on. There was also a Wesley talking to Tony D. You know, clowning him backstage about how, you don't have anybody here, which means you smell of a lack of confidence. And Tony's like, you don't know what you're talking about. How about you and me? We fight right now. I gotta go. I got a Battle Royal I gotta go win. So I know I have a better chance than any of the NQCC guys, right? Anyway, but I'll catch you later, he says. There was we got the Zaria versus Kelani Jordynne match, which I will not allow myself to get too excited about the potentials for the story coming out of this, because when I get too excited, which my first thought was, okay, this could be amazing for everybody involved. And when I get too excited about things, then I get disappointed and I get sad, which makes me angry. So the match is excellent. Kelani really has found a whole different level than when she was North American champion. Zaria is fantastic, and she sells her ass off for Kelani. Me and also Orion Ben in the Discord were very upset about one of the best spears anyone's ever hit on anyone.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Being kicked out of by Kelani Jordynne. I was like, no, come on. Like, no. And because I thought, oh, well, what is that? Why? It turns out why is because they had a whole bunch more story to do, which is that on the outside, Kelani winds up like backing up into Sol Ruca, who's there to support Zaria. And she kind of holds her there, and they lock eyes like, I remember when we were friends. And then Zaria spears Kelani through the barricade. And this is now, again, I'm reading body language and face, like whatever the face is giving, because they also have a whole lot of facial expression coaches. Sometimes they get a little too out there with the things that they teach the people to do. But Sol Ruca was giving shocked, scared, impressed, and a little turned on by what Zaria did to Kelani Jordynne. In that order, was like, oh my God, wow, wow, like that was the order in which Sol Ruca processed what her best friend did. And there's so many things now that there are possibilities from this that I love. Kelani and Soul, like Kelani being upset with Soul, like you held me in place so she could do that to me, and Soul being like, no, I didn't really. I'm sorry. I mean, like, she wants to be my bodyguard. I guess that's what she wants to do, and that part of it. Or Soul being like, holy crap. If I can convince her to like keep doing this for me, I will never lose a match.
Yeah.
Like her turning a little bit evil. If I could just I definitely don't want to get on this girl's bad side. So I'm going to do whatever I can to keep her my best friend. And then nobody will ever beat me because look at what I've got on my side. Or, holy crap, I really got to make sure that I don't get on this girl's bad side. Just the first part of it. Also, like Zaria showing that she has a thing that Soul wants no part of. Maybe Zaria starts to realize, I'm protecting you from all of these people. You wouldn't why am I doing that instead of taking your title? Like, we're friends, but we're not that close of friends. Like, their blood is thicker than water. Gold is shinier than friendship. Like, I mean, that's the rest of the saying, right? Blood is thicker than water. Gold is shinier than friendship. I'm pretty sure that's the rest of the saying.
As so, the old phrase goes, yeah.
That was friggin' awesome. That moment of Soul processing everything around that spear through the barricade, and then her dragging the lifeless corpse of Kelani into the ring and then chucking her into the air like a pizza. Was friggin' awesome, and pinning her, and then she was like, yeah! And then here comes Soul to be like, hey, my best friend, everybody, and Zaria, like, before she realized where she was, because she was lost in a battlefield of yore up here for a while, and then she like came back to Earth and realized she was not covered in the blood of her enemies. Like, there's something about the character of Zaria that I love, that like when she decides, okay, it's time to kill you, like she goes into another realm in her brain. And I love that she was still there and then realized, oh, Sol Ruka, my best friend. Hug. There's so many possibilities to tell really cool stories that have a lot of nuance and layers coming out of this. I just hope they don't just leave all that in the past and just move on to something else without processing all the really cool stuff they did here. By the way, Kelani was excellent, really played a role here, but Zaria gave her a lot, and this was better than I thought it was going to be, but I'm really happy that we still have Zaria winning this match, and Sol Ruka trying to process what exactly how she won the match means for her title, and their friendship.
Wildly productive use of television time, which is not something that we always get to say around these parts, Alex. I loved everything about this except for the one thing that you mentioned. I feel like that spear is no, you're done.
That's
done. I don't know if they've had the time to realize that yet, but I've realized that.
Yeah, she's got that spear, and then she's got the F5 thing that she does. And I feel like
it's kind of hard, actually. You have two moves
they use the spear as the setup move. And this I like that she says, you're done, but to make sure everyone knows you're done, I'm gonna do this other thing to you. That's kind of how they work it, but she should be able to pin somebody off that spear by itself if she wanted to.
She is on. There's some really fun powerhouse women's wrestling, man. Like, we're gonna talk about Jordynne Grace later, but like,
yeah,
man, do I have fun watching Zaria. Like,
yeah.
There's something really special to me. We've talked about this before, and you mentioned Rusev before, and I think he's maybe the very best at this in wrestling. When you have such a size advantage over someone, but you can sell in a way that makes me believe it without me getting distracted by the fact that I believe it, you have done your job to the highest extent of the law. And she sold her ass off for Kelani today. Kelani, different wrestler than the last time she met Sol Ruka, and I mean that in a really good way. Like, she is transformed unbelievably in front of our eyes, and it's so special and it's so cool to see. Sol Ruka, I knew always had this magnetism about her, and she's so cool in the ring with her moveset, but like just the way she conducts herself, I didn't know she had the depth to pull off what you talked about today. That was cool to see, of like you could read the emotions on her face in a way that let you knew exactly what was going through her head. I agree with you that there are several interesting ways to take it. I like that the most basic one doesn't feel unsatisfying to me, though. If they just go with Zaria gets sick of the shit and turns on her, that's really cool, because that also makes Zaria smart. Like, and I don't mind that. Or they could play with this for longer than I thought they would be playing with it. And there is some fun nuance that they could tap into, but I think anywhere on that spectrum would be cool. I just hope that they choose something on that spectrum and don't over engineer it, as they are prone to do sometimes. But man, this is all aces from me. I loved everything about this. And for those of you who didn't see like Delta Brady, like you kind of haven't gotten to see the best of Zaria yet. And that's kind of wild. But when you do, like you got some appetizers today, and she's special, man. She is a special talent. Yeah. I can't wait. Like I can't wait to see what we get from her in the long run. And I think she's going to be around a little bit, which is more than I can say for a lot of the top of the card. So I think it's important that she's made to do stuff that works.
Yeah, for sure. The women's North American title division is very interesting, because the women surrounding it are going to need to move up, because if they're bringing up as many people as they seem to be, they're going to need to move up and be challengers for the top belt. And so
this is why I'm stunned that Cora got cut.
I mean,
because it feels like we're losing Steph, Giulia, Roxanne, and probably Jordynne Grace. Now I'm questioned about her. But like, who do you think takes that? Say all four of them go up. Who takes that title?
What do you mean?
If Steph is going up and Giulia is going up and Rox is going up and Jordynne's going up, who does Steph drop to?
You would have to make Jordynne a transitional champion.
To who?
I know, but like, no, I know that's the thing, is that you you either have Jordynne lose to Steph and go up, and Steph keeps it, and then she drops it to somebody else down the line, or you have Steph lose to Jordynne, and you bring up Steph. I mean, I don't think you should bring up that many people. I think that you bring up Rox and Giulia, and that's it. Like, I love Stephanie, and she's great, and they do not have room for all of these women on the main roster, even with the ones they cut. They just don't have room for all of them to do this kind of stuff. So that's a problem. You can't bring them all up. There's a huge influx of people, and then you just, because you just brought Becky back. I would say if you hadn't just brought Becky back, then you would have an opening somewhere around the Intercontinental title. But Becky's winning that from Lyra, and then they're going to feud over it for a while. So that's taken. You could one of them can murder Zelina Vega for the U.S. title, but not all of them. That's what I thought
Jordynne Grace was going to do.
Right, but she appears to be firmly here right now to me. So if you do that, then like what are we going to do? Like Roxanne and Giulia are a tag team? Like, that feels like a gross underutilization of both of them. So like there's a lot of
good news about that, Alex. Always goes well. Always goes well when they create a women's tag team on the main roster.
You're right. It always works.
Never fails.
Fantastic. We're going to talk more about that when we get to the main event.
The reason I asked about that is I was wondering if there's a world where there's a 2-woman power trip in this. Like if Zaria just won.
Zaria beats
Or-
Jordynne Grace around SummerSlam time. Like,
Yeah.
whew.
Yeah. Jambeard saying, so you're saying that a Zelta spear can awaken things? Like Sol Ruka is sitting there like, this better not awaken anything in me. Like that is basically what Zelta can do to a woman, I think.
I think you were trying to set me up for an ad read there.
I wouldn't dream of it.
But the thing is, you'd all probably put your odds on the idea that that would be a Blue Chew ad read.
You would.
If you were tuned to FightfulSelect.com and we reported it because we knew, you would know it was a Bet Online ad read that we had tonight.
I want to talk to you guys about our great partner at BetOnline AG. Yes, the place that lets you bet on pro wrestling. We've gotten our pro wrestling betting odds from them for years, well before we even worked with them. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about them. They got the earliest lines, the fastest payout, the industry best bonuses. They've been trusted for 25 plus years because of their safe and secure environment and their quick payouts. But you can bet on pro wrestling. How cool is that? If you think you know more than anybody, go ahead and look at those odds. It's the same ones you've seen on Fightful for years. You might see one that sticks out to you and you go, wait a second, there's no way that person's going to win. Why are they an underdog? Make yourself some money. BetOnline AG. And hey, it doesn't stop there. Whatever sports you want, they got you covered. Popular games like blackjack and roulette, Supernova, Skyward, all that stuff. BetOnline AG. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can at BetOnline AG.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
It is good stuff. And here's the thing, Alex.
Yeah.
FightfulSelect.com. We got lock picks for you. Where I don't want to brag, but I do. I'm going to brag as if I have anything to do with any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't want to brag.
Right.
But because of no work of my own at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty great on the lockpick side, okay? On FightfulSelect.com. If you listen to us and you go and place your bets on BetOnline AG with the guidance of our lockpicks, you will pay for your Fightful Select subscription like pretty darn fast. Pretty darn fast. So head over to FightfulSelect.com. We had, OMG, so much news going up. Tons of it. Crazy amount of scoops.
So much.
It's like stupid how many scoops are over there.
Yeah.
Support original reporting. It's how we pay our bills. Get me and Alex raises. Everyone go subscribe.
Meet Enormous says, hard times don't last. Hard people do. Promo code FIGHTFUL, if you will. Thank y'all again for keeping me sane while going through a loss. Y'all are ote. Well, that is some high praise from Meet Enormous. Thank you so much.
Meet Enormous, we love you. We
love you so much. Hold on, what was the thing here I got that was I wanted to read. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I wanted to touch on this real quick before we start talking about the Battle Royal. So Tim says, hello, Alex, Kate, and the SGS. Please never take another day off. Shawn was far too positive last night. There was way too little sour. Still haven't watched WWE since the releases, so I need you two to tell us how horrible it was. Lieutenant Photo says, I threw up the SGS bat signal. I'm with Tim. Shawn is way too positive at a 3 out of 10 show last night. Missed you lovely, sour people. Well, it's a good thing we didn't take tonight off because watch me find a way to hate on a thing that was objectively great. The Battle Royal, man, I didn't know half of these stooges. Like stooges. Some of them were stooges.
Wait, but before we dive into this, can I just say also, Typic Fowl, I appreciate that you were like, I didn't watch the show, but I just know Shawn was too positive about it. Like, it could have been the best episode of Raw ever. He never saw it. And he's like, I just know that Shawn was too positive about it. I can just tell in my bones. Yeah. I love that about you, Tim.
So I'm looking at this and I'm watching this Battle Royal. And I'm looking at, like, nobody's got a story except for Trick. And then you could build a story for Javon Evans because he's been at the top of the card.
Correct.
There are literally no other possible winners. Because
Well, it felt like Ethan Page because of just like the entrances.
he's a top guy in the building, but doesn't feel like an Obafemi feud partner right now.
Well, so
you know what I mean? So that was why I would say that he's not possible, simply because they seem to want Obafemi tweener leaning heel. They seem to want him to be that. So working with Ethan Page or Shawn Spears, although they're both recent holders of gold, feels like that's something they wouldn't pull those guys out of a battle royal to make that happen.
the thing is, you forget that he can not kill him with a smile. So there is that.
He can what now?
Kill him with a smile.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I forgot about
I know
that.
Jeff Rebel is saying in there. But my thing was, I didn't think Ethan Page was going to win. I thought it might be Trick. But I also thought, you're right in that we do have some time. Like we do have some time for this title shot.
We do have time, but
I thought maybe they give Ethan and slap a story together. Maybe Ricky gets messed up in it. I don't know.
I'm used to them saying, "Here is your challenger." Then just not doing anything to actually build a story for the next 3 weeks before the PLE, because that's like one of the 3 weeks left will be a contract signing. One of them will be a face-to-face.
Certainly, they will come face-to-face at some point.
Yeah,
and there's a very high probability.
And one of them will be a split-screen interview backstage. And the only information we're going to get is, I believe I shall win this title. No, I believe I shall win this title. And they'll just do that for 3 weeks. I'm so used to them doing that. And sometimes it's artfully delivered, but when you boil down a face-to-face promo, it's always just that. I'm going to win. No, I think I'm going to win. And then maybe there's a pull-apart brawl or 2 or 7.
Can you imagine like an environment where 2 people just sit split-screened and just yap like that?
Yap at each other? No.
That's ridiculous.
I can't conceive of such a thing being anything anyone would want to watch. So
no, certainly.
So I'm watching this battle royal again, just replete with stooges, an absolute stooge fest. Like, here's the deal: there are
replete with stooges is a phrase you don't hear enough.
It's a bunch of guys from LFG who aren't winning this. It's a couple of guys from Evolve who aren't winning this. It's a bunch of tag teams who aren't winning this. Again.
Okay, but what if I told you also Zach Wentz was here?
Right. Zach Wentz is here from TNA, and also Elijah from TNA. And my first thought was, when did Elias get a Carmen Sandiego hat? That was you know me in fashion. The first thing I thought was, why is Elias wearing a Carmen Sandiego hat? And he's just the Drifter. He's just his old gimmick.
Who wants
TNA,
to
right?
wear in the world?
He's a good guy. Yeah. Who wants to walk somewhere in the world with Elias Sandiego? Maybe Carmen Sandiego. Maybe that's Elias's actual last name. It used to be Samson, but they changed it. So it's Elias Sandiego, Ezekiel Sandiego, Elijah Sandiego, and Carmen Sandiego, their long-lost sister, who's long-lost because she's literally somewhere in the world and we can't find her.
Kevin Owens just had an aneurysm at home.
That's very true.
I do want to call out, it was nice just to have England represented, though, in the form of Timothy Thatcher.
It was an international battle royal because of Timothy Thatcher. It was nice to have.
I'm looking at him in the ring, Alex, and I'm like, this guy is from England. There's no way. Right. And then I was like, okay, well, if you tell me if he's from the United States, certainly he's from like Maine or Massachusetts. Right. He's definitely not from Sacramento, California.
Well, you bring up Maine and Massachusetts. The other guy that I just assumed was English was Oni Lorcan, and I found out he was from Boston. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
At least, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
you can catch
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
No, I'm sorry. That man is not from any place called the Golden State or whatever.
No, he's from Essex, England.
Yeah, he's from Stepney. Is where he's from.
Perfect.
Anyway, getting back to the Battle Royal and the Stooges therein.
And the one British veteran.
It is a 25-man Battle Royal for a shot at the NXT World Title on a PLE. I'm looking at this and I'm going like, man, the cupboard in NXT men's division is bare.
It really
like
is.
Eddie Thorpe was supposed to be in this Battle Royal. He would have belonged in it a lot more than most of these guys. As far as like people who have seemed important enough to possibly get a title shot at Obafemi on a PLE. And so I'm watching this going, we got to do something about this men's division. And I'm watching it going like, okay, well, this dude, the legacy guy, he didn't get to do anything until there was like 6 guys left. And then he was ping-ponging all over the ring, having great spots with Javon Evans. I was like, just why is this dude dwelling down there in Tubi? Bring him up to the main show. We have an absolute dearth of NXT TV talent in the main division as represented by the multitude of stooges. The stoogery was off the charts in this particular Battle Royal, but that guy's not a stooge. He proved it in the very quick. He had an amazing missile drop kick. Just that alone gets him on the main roster. So like on the main NXT roster. So yeah, bring up that guy. All these LFG stooges, are any of them actually good, or are they just getting like, getting smoke blown up their butt by Bully Ray and Undertaker? I don't know, but like, don't they have to go to Evolve first after LFG before they can come here? Otherwise, I don't want to see them injure anybody because they're on some reality show. Like if they got it, they got to show it in Evolve first. So let's start bringing up the people in Evolve who are good enough. And yes, unfortunately, I do believe that includes Mr. Smokes and his friend Bradley. Like bring up those guys, change the name of the tag team, bring up those guys and let them do stuff. There's other people I know who are in Evolve who have
Jack Cartwheel is like such an obvious one for NXT for me.
So bring up some of those dudes. Let them start doing stuff. The guys who are ready-ish, who are doing tag team stuff, or like Josh Briggs showed some flashes of main like singles type guy stuff. Like he's got to take a bump. He's got to bump up to that level because there's nobody. There's nobody for Obafemi to face. And once you say, okay, we're going to do this thing where Trick Williams looks like he's definitely winning this Battle Royal. And Joe Hendry comes in and distracts Trick Williams long enough for Elijah to knock him over the top rope. And you go take Tricks out. I guess it's obviously Javon, but that's fine because that begins the first thing what have I talked about? Javon Evans has got to be the guy who beats Obafemi, but it ain't now. But you got to start out with that first singles match against Javon Evans, against Obafemi. The first one where he loses, where Obafemi beats him down. And then you move on to the next one in a few months where he comes closer, and so on. So I thought Javon Evans, a very good choice. If you're going to do the Trick and Joe Hendry thing, you do Javon instead. But then Javon gets eliminated. And I'm looking at a final 3 of Myles Borne, Ethan Page, and Shawn Spears. And because I just don't think they're running heels against Obafemi right now, I was like, Myles Borne is winning this. And man, he did. And he looked great in this match.
Yeah, he did.
And I love that they're like, no, we don't care about the thing. The deaf thing, the can't cut a promo thing. We don't care about any of that.
So well, too, by the way. Like unreal.
Right. But even 2 or 3 years ago, sorry, kid. Like we're gonna
100%.
We're gonna get you a mouthpiece. You're never gonna talk on camera, like that kind of a thing. Like, so I like that at least Shawn Michaels, HBK, is willing to say we're giving this kid this push. And I like that it didn't come necessarily out of the blue because he did team with Javon Evans kind of randomly a couple of weeks ago. And he's excellent in the ring. I think that calling him Baby Randy is like because he looks like Randy Orton, like is a disservice to him because he does stuff that Randy Orton never did.
Sure.
So he's his own dude. Let's not compare him. Let's measure him against everybody else. And
he leans really hard to it. Is part of why that is.
Well, sure, because it's a fun. He seems to have a really great sense of humor. The way that he allows the stuff about his own deafness to be like featured in the dialogue. But he's great. He's great. Obafemi deserves a better men's division. This Obafemi reign deserves to have a murderer's row of dudes for him to go through. Because I don't want to see Obafemi, because you know my proclivities about Obafemi. I think he's absolutely one of the so we will look back on Obafemi in 20 years and be like, man, he was so good so young, and look what he did once he got to the main roster and all that stuff. So like I don't want to look back on his NXT world title run and have him, he went through a bunch of cupcakes. And I think Myles Borne's great. I think Myles Borne's great. But like strength of schedule is an important thing when you are judging like how people did.
Sure.
Like they went through, like, yeah, they were undefeated, but look who they beat. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. People say it all the time. So I don't want to look at this. So they're our top. It seems unconscionable to me that we would actually get through the whole thing without ever giving Trick Williams a one-on-one match with Obafemi. Like that's part of the story. And we're not doing, so far we're not doing it. There needs, when I say murderer's row, I mean it. I think he deserves to be able to like look who he beat along that title reign. It's not murderer's row. It's not the 27 Yankees. It's the 2024 Chicago White Sox. It's the worst team ever. As far as like, if you give this guy a year title reign, the cupboard is bare in NXT men's division, especially compared to what we have been seeing with the women's division.
That's
like you can drop 12 deep in the women's division, and it's better than, let's say, 5 deep in the men's division. Just considering how the men have been booked, especially.
I was thinking about this during this battle royal. There were a couple of things that came to mind. One was, it doesn't feel like the NXT men's division is deep enough to have 2 titles, and it feels like the women should have tag titles along with the 2 that they have. There's a huge disparity there. Uh-huh. The other thing is part of the problem of Obafemi constantly having triple threats, and I love later in this episode, he was like, I'm done with triple threats. He flat out said it, is like, he's already, there were no moment, like a good battle royal to me, one of my favorite parts is when you see 2 guys lock eyes and you're like, oh, I never even thought about that part. And there's just none of that because he's already like touched hands with everybody that's kind of like built at the top of the card. I thought this was an inspired choice to have Borne win, because I feel like a battle royal is a great place to do things like this. And I think it's time for him to step into a moment like this. And I hope it goes the way of Obafemi makes it's a star making match essentially.
Right.
That he feels like a threat after it, even though he's obviously not winning. I
Right.
agree with you that this is probably the weakest men's singles division in NXT that we've seen. And to your point, part of it's just like the booking, like, cause it's the same. I actually have this problem. AEW is different because it's not like the world title and then some other titles. Like right now, the international title is more interesting to me. Like there's always
Sure.
something going on there, but like their women and men's champions are both 4-time champions.
Yeah.
They got to get new names in the mix. In AEW, it's like their top contenders are the same contenders that just are on a cycle of when am I facing you? When am I facing you? When am I facing you? It sucks because I don't like it when people with titles are in battle royals like this. But like Ricky Starks is the guy who should be facing Obafemi, but like he kind of can't because he has this title and neither of them should lose. So you're like stuck.
I would absolutely agree that I don't want the under mid-card champion facing the top champion, except in a case like this.
Yeah, what else do you do?
What are you doing with Ricky Starks? He wasn't on the show tonight. They didn't mention him.
Yeah, same with Noam Dar. I was like, a Heritage Cup isn't like...
No, but he could absolutely... It's for a shot at the world title. Like, it does not say if you win this, you have to put your title on the line too in that shot. It's just for a shot at the world title. Everybody should be in this thing. Like, Tony D's not in it,
especially when the roster,
but he's got a thing to do, I guess. Luca's not in it because he's dead and buried in a desert somewhere. Stacks is
that's a good excuse. If you're dead, you don't have to be in a battle.
But like, there are anybody who's not in this, like we'll talk about this later. It just shows you how unserious the Chase U story is because none of those guys are in the battle royal. This battle royal was a stooge fest, and none of those stooges going to be in it. Like everybody who they better have asked to be in it. It's like, I'm sorry, we already got 25. Like this is for a
but you
shot
didn't
because
you fired a couple. I know I'm a Noam Dar gal, but like a Noam Dar Obafemi match intrigues me greatly.
Especially
intrigues me.
You know what intrigues me is the promo battles leading up to it. Because I know Noam Dar would make them incredibly fun. Noam Dar would come out and he'd Obafemi waiting there, and Noam Dar walks out and he comes carrying with him a step ladder. And he sets it up in the middle of the ring and steps up it until he's eye to eye with Obafemi. It's like, now we're on the same playing field. Like he'd make it super fun.
And it would be so interesting for Obafemi because, like, I haven't seen Obafemi get trapped in a submission before and have to like work out of that.
The first thing that happens is that Noam Dar shoots the leg and puts him in a knee bar in the middle of the ring, and like Oba's like, what? And eventually Oba's able to struggle to one leg and lift Noam Dar up and pick him up and toss him out of the ring. But the rest of the match, he's working that knee. He's like, he'll always feel that for the rest of the match. And Noam's like,
and it's in his head too.
If I get you in it again, and you can't get to the ropes, I'm gonna win. And that's a whole different thing for Obafemi. I honestly, that is a really interesting, and I think they could be doing some stuff with Myles Borne as well. But Noam Dar, the amount of seasoning that guy's got compared to Myles Borne is crazy. So like, you have to like recognize that there are other people out there. Ricky Starks, they're not doing anything with Ricky Starks. Again, they have 3 weeks to build something for the PLE, but nothing. He's got no program. He's got nothing. He beat Lexis King pretty soundly and moved on from that. And so he's got nothing. Like,
this, also, Alex, I'm looking at this battle royal and being like, they just didn't even have the bodies. Like, no offense to the people that are on their way up. But like, none of Gallus being in this, you know what I mean? Like, none of Gallus being here. Or Mensa was at least the name we knew.
Yeah, Gallus is well known enough with the NXT crowd. They would at least like be respected by them in a way that like, okay, well, they're going to do good stuff.
And they would do some cool work. Like
Yeah.
those boys would just do some cool work. So that's part of it. It feels like the absolute wrong time to have done a battle royal like the week after you have releases.
Yeah.
But it is I'm excited about Myles Borne. I will say that. Like I think
I
it
think
was
the
a
match
cool
is.
choice. It was nowhere on the radar, and I think the match is going to be really fun. But you're right in that, like, what got exposed tonight was the lack of where the is Hikuleo? It's been like a year now. But they don't bench people, so
no, but also like he's a bloodline guy. I would be shocked if he doesn't debut as part of the bloodline story.
Dude, last I heard, which you know how when you hear things, they're always right. Like the plan was a big NXT push.
No.
So, because I don't know what the bloodline's doing.
Maybe he debuts at Battleground after the match. You know what I mean? Like
That could be.
It feels
seems like a battle royal in your division is
in this, but yeah, no, it's fine. What there was a thing here that somebody said. Yoshiki says finally seems like NQC Musi moving up the card. Wait for it. So we'll talk about that. But Rory Bisson saying Elijah, welcome home. Chance gave me chills. WWE's dumbest fumble. I mean, they certainly could have done a hell of a lot more with him. They never really capitalized on how over he was when he was doing the singing stuff.
I don't know if it's the dumb. Like I look at Swerve.
No.
That was probably the dumbest. But I agree that it was.
I cannot agree that it was the dumbest fumble. But
it was a dumb one.
They definitely did not capitalize on all the stuff they had with him, for sure. And the Ezekiel thing, in retrospect, was ridiculously stupid.
I unfortunately, Alex, have completely gaslit myself into thinking it was good. I know it wasn't.
It was no.
But I just
Kevin Owens tried to save it, but the patient died on the operating table. Like he valiantly tried to save that patient, but it was really dead on arrival.
It was so not good. But then the problem is I turned into the person that watches a clip of it and I'm like, this is hilarious.
Okay. So yeah, this is true. It's blah because the men's roster is rebuild phase. Man, when they do that draft, they got to send some talent. Like there are people who are doing pretty much next to nothing on the main roster.
There sure are.
I mean, they're doing something with them, but I don't know exactly how great it's gonna be. We'll have to see because it's really far down the card on SmackDown. But a Santos Escobar versus Obafemi program.
I am immediately intrigued.
it's a whole different side of stuff that we could do there that we just, Jambeard's saying, I don't care. I don't know if he's a free agent or not, but Matt Sydal would fit perfectly with current NXT. He would also be able to help a lot of them, but I don't know. I think he's been injured.
I think he's been injured and still under AEW contract, to my knowledge.
So there was some aftermath of the battle royal, shall we say?
There was.
So Wesley was on the phone with somebody like, yeah, can't believe you fell for it. Yeah, the match is next week. All right, yeah, okay. No, whatever. And he hangs up the phone. So Wesley seems very chipper for a dude who got kneed off the apron by Trick Williams so hard he flew over the announce table. So that happened during Picture in Picture. That was one of the crazy eliminations of that battle royal. But we find out that the match he's having next week is with Tony D'Angelo, which means he is in cahoots with Stax. Wesley is going to keep Tony busy so that Stax can enter and attack Tony D from behind during the match. That's a thing.
If there's anything you don't want to be in, or don't want other people to be in, it's cahoots.
Cahoots. Inamura.
He's leaving us.
he knocked Josh Briggs off the apron accidentally. When they do these, oh no, I knocked my tag team partner off the apron accidentally, but he thinks I did it on purpose spots. I wish they wouldn't make it so obvious that they're setting up that spot.
Yeah.
Because, like that was evident about 45 seconds before it happened that was the thing they were going to do. And I was like,
it's so much with the bloodline that it's like,
yeah, it's
a tired spot in general.
It really
but
is a tired
also
spot.
Very obvious.
Sometimes the ones I like are the ones where it really does come out of nowhere. Like you're not setting it up and all of a sudden, boom, it happened. But that one was like really obvious. So he said, I talked to Ava, and I'm going home to Japan tonight. Did you buy your ticket 6 minutes ago? Because you were in a battle royal for a shot at the title in 3 weeks. If you had won that,
wrestlers. They know how to book their flights in a hurry. Okay.
I mean, we'll talk about that in 1 second. But you say he gives them back the vest and says, "I'm sorry, I wasn't a better partner for you," and he leaves to go back to Japan. And then Brooks Jensen makes fun of Briggs about it, and Briggs is a dude who could just go right back into single stuff because again, with the roster they've got, he's right there at the top echelon of the mid card for sure. He's a dude who, if you said to me, we're figuring out who's going to be the guy who faces Ricky Starks at Battleground in 3 weeks, Josh Briggs is as good as any they got. You know what I mean? Like that's certainly a possibility. Now, talking of
this is where I don't envy like the idea of
you're broken up and I can't hear you anymore. So I'm just going to keep talking. Speaking of, there you go. You're gone. You're gone. Speaking of Myles Borne, we got she'll be back. I'm sure she'll be back. Why wouldn't she come back? Yeah, Kate's internet, it's the thing. It's what happens. You know what I mean? Like Kate's net has reattacked. Kate's internet strikes again. Oh no, Kate's internet strikes. Kate doesn't envy bad internet. Damn Spectrum. This is what happens, guys, unfortunately. So Myles Borne is with Tavion Heights and Ren Sinclair and Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey thought that because when they were the no quarter catch crew, he's back. She's back.
It's been a while since I had one of those.
Yeah.
I flew too close to the sun. I opened too many tabs.
You can't do that, Kate. Charlie Dempsey says that I'll I need you to help train me for my big title match with Obafemi. And I wrote in the SGS Discord, oh good, they're gonna make it stupid. We can't just have Myles Borne win the battle royal and get a title match. We got to make it so Charlie Dempsey thinks that Myles Borne winning it means he gets it. Like Myles Borne is his own personal Luchasaurus, and he's Christian Cage. And I feel like that's not a thing we've been teasing with Charlie Dempsey. So him just doing it, just assuming that was it, is very odd. But then Obafemi walks up and he says, Myles Borne, you weren't my pick to win this, but the Wula is impressed. I will be seeing you at Battleground. And Charlie's like, actually, no, Oba, I'll be having that match. And Oba's like, but I watched him, he won. And like, yeah, but it's the North Quarter Catch Crew, and we decide amongst ourselves who's going to have the match. And Myles is like, no, I'll be having the match at Battleground. But you know what would be great is if you had a match with Charlie next week. Charlie was saying really mean stuff about behind your back, like I'm gonna make that meathead tap out, and stuff like that. Oh, really? Yeah, that's what I tell you what he was saying. So we're getting Charlie Dempsey versus Obafemi next week, and I just have Myles Borne wrestle the match of his life and come really close to winning and lose. Don't have Charlie Dempsey cost him the match, just so you can then build a Myles Borne versus Charlie Dempsey program out of it. Like they can break up, but it doesn't have to be like during this. Like figure out a way to make it not this. Also, before you make your thing, I wanted to make this joke because I'll forget if I don't. Myles Borne, there's a thing of like he retweeted the Myles Borne versus Obafemi, and then he write down hashtag tickets booked, and I was like, it's in Tampa. You can drive there from Orlando in like an hour
on a train.
You don't need to book a flight to Tampa from Orlando, Myles.
It's booked.
It's tickets. Do Ubers give you tickets? Because if so, I booked my Lyft ticket. LYFT ticket.
Booked. NXT is on a budget. I feel like we're having too many now. This also feels like it was affected by the releases, but AEW went through this period too where it was just like, is your only faction story, are we gonna break up as a faction, or like which friend should I trust? And I feel like because we get that on the men's and women's side, like we got it with we're getting it with JC and Fallon, and we got it with the metaphor last week, and we're getting it here. Like it's overwrought on this particular program. Where that gets tricky is like when there's factions that should be breaking up.
Right.
Like JC Jane should have nothing to do with Fallon Henley anymore. Like what does she gain out of that? Like things like that. So it's tough.
Myles Borne, I didn't help Charlie Dempsey during the Battle Royal. And
Correct.
Charlie then immediately got eliminated. And then Tavion was super happy for Myles when he won. And then Charlie came up and was just doing a slow clap outside the ring. And I wanted him to, what I wanted, because this honestly would have been against type for WWE booking, is for the backstage segment to start with Tavion and Myles and Ren all celebrating, and Charlie Dempsey walking up and getting all close to Myles, and then giving him a huge hug and saying, "I'm so proud of you. Me and Tavion and Ren, we're going to train you like never before. You're going to beat this dude. You're going to be world champion. This is everything the No Quarter Catch crew has stood for. You're going to be world champion." Make it into a thing where they actually love each other. At least fool us into believing that for the duration of this program. And then afterwards, you can have him ruin it. You know what I mean?
And that comes from a known friendship hater, Alex. You hate friendship.
A known Adam Cole and MJF friendship hater. And let the record show I was right about them. They were never actually friends.
You admitted on air. On this... Well, not this very program, but with me as your co-host, you were like, I don't think I like friendship. And there have been several instances since where you have not come close to my face and then hugged me. Mm-hmm. There have been times where we have been at odds, bucko.
It'd be really hard to hug you from several thousand miles away. Hold on.
Do it right here. Oh, see?
I'm doing padding.
On my head.
There you go.
Was that so difficult?
Cyclo's right. Cody and KO's friendship did not look like it was long for friendshipness, and I was right about that one too.
I didn't say you were wrong. I'm just saying you hate friendship.
Okay. You know what else? You know what I hate? I really, really hate? Chase U. I want everyone responsible for the continuation of Chase U to be piled into a catapult, a supersonic catapult, and fired it directly at the sun. It's just no. Again, it is the most stoogified battle royal I've ever seen, and these two stooges don't want to be in it. They're just one of them is a mustachioed clown. The other one is the world's worst leafy green. And they've just decided that we're going to change the way that Andre Chase dresses. Also, the thing about this that I hated the most, because I am me and I notice things like this, is that here's a new outfit, put it on. And it's just taking off the sweater and putting on a quarter zip. But here's a new outfit, put it on. They show them sitting in one position on some chairs and another one, and then another one, which only happens if you're in there for, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. He just put on a quarter zip instead of a sweater. And then, oh, here's another one. Here's a tracksuit. They do the same thing again. It doesn't take that long to change from what you were wearing into the thing.
You don't know. You weren't in the room.
I wish I was in the room with the writers of this, because I would chloroform them and put them into a catapult and fire it at the sun. I would do it. This is so dumb. Why are we taking it? Why are we? Why
creative?
Why I am? Why? Because it is obviously hyperbole, and I can get away with it. So like, why is this a thing that takes up any time on the show?
To upset you.
None of them obviously care about winning matches or being wrestlers on a wrestling show.
What I don't like is it just feels so like they didn't know what to do. Like it just feels like they were like, well, we'll go back to this thing because we don't know.
I have been begging for literal years to have Andre Chase wear stuff it's possible to wrestle in, not a sweater over a button down. That doesn't make any sense. So now they're finally giving it to me, but after the university was supposed to have closed twice. The first time they got out of it with a sexy co-eds calendar, and that's the first time, and the second time they got out of it just by waiting long enough that the statute of limitations on the bet he made ran out. Welcher, dirty Welcher.
This was done to personally attack you, first of all. Second of all, I just don't like that it felt like we didn't know what to do next, so we just went back to the thing we were doing. That's how it feels, and I feel like that underserves the talent, because what's going to come out of this? What's going to come out of this? Like, I don't know. I don't see how this... I don't know what turn they could make that would make logical sense, that would benefit the people involved. And it just feels like... It feels like Chase, you got so off the rails that, like, by ending it, it's like, what do we do next? And they were like, I don't know. So we just went back here. Like, it feels like
it feels like they could have easily done something. They could have easily done something if Duke Hudson hadn't been released.
Could have.
And of Duke and Thea moving on with their careers and doing other things. And then, like, Chase, you being at rock bottom and being like, hey, man, the university's gone, but that doesn't mean our friendship is gone. Like if you still want to do this, then we're going to help you get back on your feet. Duke says, Andre Chase, I got us a tag team match, and if we win that, we've got a shot at the title. And like, no, the university's done. I lost it in a bet with Ridge Holland. Doesn't matter. We don't need the university, because the real university is the friends we made along the way.
Oh.
And they could have actually done that, but now you can't. So we just got to start up the university again, but it's different now because there's the mustachioed clown and the leafy green fella.
You know what they should have done? Andre Chase should have been like with Stacks. He should be living a criminal life. He had no idea what to do after Chase U. He was in financial trouble, and he's now just committing crazy amounts of crime with Stacks. That's what should have happened.
Yeah. Okay, I want to do some puns before we get to one of the best women's matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, let's.
Let's see here. Hold on. I got We got some puns. Here we go. Steph Curry, man. The Celtics Warrior, Sheamus, and the North Stars, the Minnesota North Stars.
Nice.
Alan James Styles. Styles Iverson. There we go. Allen Iverson. Okay, AJ. I get it now. Oh no, that's a jukebox request. Technical Fallon Henley and Dunk Hudson.
Dunk Hudson is for me.
Fabian Jack Eichelner.
Very nice.
Vegas Golden Lovers. Mike Shutt says Seth Pick and Rollins. Milwaukee Buckshot Lariat.
Seth Pick and Rollins is amazing.
Isn't great? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Very nice.
Very, very good. Offensive rebound for glory. Allen Iver, son of a plumber. And Miami go away Heat. Tom LaValle says Buffalo Sabre Jr. They mostly disappoint constantly.
Hey, man.
I think that's a different.
I like the TMDK-ness of it, but.
They wanted Ryan Chiquini wants to know: will the Righteous join Elijah, or Karrion Kross? I don't hate the idea of the Righteous with Karrion Kross. That actually sounds really fun to me, but I don't think they are. I don't know.
I love that he teased it. I think that's awesome. Whether or not it happens, I think it's a really cool thing to stir up buzz about your friends like that. Mm-hmm. I just love the Righteous. I just want them to be employed and doing great work.
They're great. They never got their real shot. And honestly, a lot of it was they lost to MJF 2-on-1 with Vince's head up Dutch's butt. So that ruined them forever in the eyes of the fans. And so
and then they, of course, on ROH did nothing. But it was funny. I saw a couple people go, okay, now Tony fumbled. Which I thought was like actually kind of sweet. That was like, okay, now he fumbled.
Meat Norma says slap Shotzi.
Very nice. Not
punishment Martinez, but penalty Martinez. Not Obafemi, but own goal Femi. Bam Bam Puppy Bowl. EO Flyover. Hat Trick Williams. That's very good. Darby Allen Iverson. Penalty box-like structure.
Thank you, Meat Normus. Look at him going through it and still just hitting us with jokes.
Jambeard says Las Vegas Golden Lovers. Winnipeg Jetico. Edmonton Boiler Room Brawls. Carolina Hurricane Helms. And the Dallas Ricky Starks.
Carolina Hurricane Helms. Very nicely done.
Mike Shutt says EO Skyhook. Full Court Press Slam. Golden State Ultimate Warriors. Ethan Page Bukers. Larry O'Brien Danielson Trophy. Seattle Stormbreaker.
Very nice.
I got the WNBA involved too. That's good.
I know. Impressive.
Meat Norma says Dunk the Clown. The Take the Under. And Rinkishi. Rinkishi, of course, did it for The Rock.
Of course.
Foul Line Henry, Tony Zamboni, and Deke Hudson from Electric Mayhem. And these are two that were not super chatted, but I have to use them because they're too good. Bonkers LFC says CM Dunk, and Bunk Funk says Giulia's Irving.
Wow. Extremely well done.
Let me talk about Giulia's because because Jordynne Grace gets interviewed before the match, and both Izzy Dame and now listen, we all know Jordynne Grace isn't a very tall gal. And we also know that both Izzy Dame and Lash Legend are, in fact,
quite
tall gals. However, remember those weird 5-inch platforms that Jordynne Grace was wearing that one time? They decided to get those in Izzy Dame and Lash Legend sizes and have them wear those while she was standing barefoot, because she was eye level with Lash Legend's belly button. And I know she's not that short and Lash isn't that tall. But there was just a way to be like, hey, you say you're really big and strong, but look at us. We're super big and super strong. And Jordynne Grace says, hey, I'll catch you ladies later. Maybe I'll talk to you next week. So when we had the match, our main event, Giulia has been appearing on Raw, and she is booked currently for a tag team match next week between her and Roxanne Perez. They're now best friends, versus Io Sky and Rhea Ripley on Raw next week. She's on Raw. Roxanne is on Raw. Roxanne did not appear on the show tonight. Thank God. Because she's a Raw person now, and I want that to. Once you're there, you're there. That's what I want. I've always said that.
Be there, yes.
And Giulia appears to also be on Raw. She's up there. She had one final match tonight. Let's say this was awesome. Like, Giulia took 2 bumps that I don't know how they did not kill her. One was like a tilt-a-whirl, like gut buster that actually busted the top of her head because she went down straight on top of it.
That was scary.
And then a Michinoku driver that was like, is the Japanese word for spinal column Michinoku? Because if so, that's what this is. This was a spinal column driver because it just drove the spinal column into her chest cavity. That Michinoku driver was snug and filthy. That was crazy. And those were 2 crazy bumps. But the rest of the match was just, I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. Please don't die. From both women. This felt like, you've heard of a death match. This was a to the death match with no weapons. This was, I'm going to beat you to death match with my bare hands. The forearm shots, the slaps, the chops, everything. Like, all the strikes were vicious, and these women were tossing each other around. Like, this was phenomenal. This was a whole different level of just hard hitting women's match. Like, if this is one of my top 5 to 7 women's matches I've ever seen, and I'd have to compile a list and then watch all of them, and this might shake out to be like number 2 or 3, and the only reason it's behind Sasha and Bayley at Brooklyn is because what that match means overall puts it over the top of everything else. This thing was insane. Like, it was so friggin', like, I'm watching this going, I didn't know who was going to win, because it was very possible to me they were just going to keep Giulia down there to do one more match with Stephanie. For sure, that was possible. So that immediately adds to it. And I feel like we haven't seen Jordynne Grace get to do this since she's been in WWE. Even like in a little excursion before, where she had that one-off match with Roxanne, she wasn't allowed to do anything like this. This feels like what Jordynne Grace it can really do. She turned a tombstone into some kind of crazy suplex. Like, she just comes up with crazy shit and does it, and it's awesome. And Giulia took it all in a way that made it look incredibly hard hitting, which it was. And Giulia gave as good as she got in this thing. So I'm watching this going like, this is what Giulia was all cracked up to be. This is the most Giulia match we've ever seen in WWE. These two feel like they were made for each other as dance partners. This is now my top. You got to put this in a WrestleMania feud in the next 4 years. This is a WrestleMania, like
The
Jordynne Grace or Giulia wins the Royal Rumble and challenges the other. That is what this has done to me. Like, I can't have only seen this once. This is a match I gotta see again. It doesn't have to be soon, but I gotta see again what these two can do. This was phenomenal.
Man, so Giulia tweeted like, I saw the spirit of Japan in you. Like I saw fighting spirit in you, basically. And that made me really happy to see, one, because that's true. And two, I'm glad she's okay, because those two neck and head bumps were...
The first one, like the commentary was really worried.
Yeah.
And then Jordynne Grace was like, get up, you're not done yet. And I was like, oh, Jesus, Jordynne, maybe give her a second.
Yeah.
Just a second, you know?
Let her recover for a moment there. But yeah, this was women's wrestling that we don't always get to see, I feel like, in WWE or in general on American soil, at least, where there was just not a second of regard for like the idea of holding back did not cross either of their minds. And it was almost like there's some matches, I don't know how to describe this, but where the wrestlers don't give a shit about what the crowd is thinking. They just go out there and they beat the ever-living crap out of each other, and they hope that the crowd's along for the ride. Because there was no pausing in this and like looking around or like goading fan reactions. There were moments where they were trying to recover from what the other did to them that allowed for some breathing room in this match. But this was not like so many matches where you're just seeing like, and it's an important storytelling aspect of like interacting with the crowd or whatever. This just felt like they said, we're going to go out there, we're going to beat the hell out of each other for the entirety of this main event. And we're going to lay it all out, and I'm going to give you my best, and you're going to give me your best, and we're going to get to have the match that we haven't gotten to have yet. Yeah. And it was, I was pleasantly just blown away by it. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be hard hitting and very good. This was like, this was like unleashed in a really, really special and fun way. I'm ready for a rematch. I'm glad Giulia's okay, because I was with commentary on that first one. I was nervous, but the fact that she got up and kept going in the way that she did was a pretty good indicator that she was all right, because she was giving it to Jordynne too. Jordynne Grace needs to be, I said this a couple weeks ago, but like, she needs to be higher up on the conversation of best women's wrestlers in the world. I feel like some names surpass her. And I think a lot of people, she's like, man, she's one of the very best. But it's like, no, she's like one of the very best. Yeah. And she does things with her strength that other women don't do, not because they're not strong enough, but because they're not creative in the same way, if that makes sense. Like applying your strength in the creative ways that she does is something very rare and very, very, very special and very unique to her. So keeping your eyes on that specific aspect of her game is important. But man, these two it felt like a Giulia's going up match, because this did not feel like a TV match. Like this felt like something different.
This felt like goodbye NXT. It was fun. And it is a crazy quick turnaround. For Giulia, Roxanne, it's time. Undoubtedly, it's time. She's been
like
she's
6
been there
months ago. It's time.
I know. It's undoubtedly it's time. She's been there for years. Yeah. Giulia, like it feels like this calling up Giulia now was Steph as the champ, and them having one match that they had to have because we thought Giulia was going to be out for several months, but it turns out she's fine. Feels like that's unfinished business. So they're calling up Giulia because they're like, we need Giulia. And I'm like, do you? Like, you got lots of stuff going on up there. Like that, the SmackDown thing is crowded. Tiffany, Naomi, Jade, Nia now, like Bianca when her fingers heal. Like you don't need anybody for that. You got the Charlotte. For God's sake, Charlotte, like she's not just wrestling one WrestleMania match and then she's done. Like you have all of these people on SmackDown, Raw. Okay, fine. Maybe you need some more, but Liv's not just gonna be a tag champ. Rhea,
Certainly not.
EO.
Yeah.
Like you have, like you call up Roxanne, absolutely. Bayley's there, Becky's there now, Lyra's there. The women's division is pretty stacked on both SmackDown and Raw. So
Well, I would say they're
women,
at the point where they need more TV time. Are you going to give it to them?
right? But they're not. So you bring up these women, and they have to slot in somewhere in the. You can't bring them up and slot them at the bottom. If you're going to bring up these women, they got to be slotted in the middle, and then who are you pushing down? You just got back Becky. Like, that's a thing you're doing with the IC title. So, like, my thing is Giulia and Roxanne coming up, I'll allow. That's fine. Giulia is absolutely good enough to be up there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I do think there's unfinished business with her and Stephanie, but fine. People like, they're going to bring up Stephanie too. Okay, like again, like where are we slotting all of these women? We're bringing up we're going to bring up Stephanie and Jordynne Grace. Okay, I'm sorry. Where are we putting everybody? We don't have we don't rotate. You know, they don't rotate talent.
No, they're very bad.
If talent's healthy, they're either on TV or they're forgotten about.
Alex, like here's a couple things. One, if there's anything that I wish would get from my lips to the ears of people in WWE, is that all of these women, for the most part, have gotten over on their wrestling ability.
Yes.
That's it. No cheesy characters, no weird bad girl gimmicky bullshit. Steph, Giulia, Roxanne had some character stuff there for a while, but like she's gotten over. The reason she's over is her in-ring, because a million other people had that archetype and didn't get over with it.
Right.
Jordynne Grace, duh, over because of her in-ring.
Yeah.
So when they talk about translation to the main roster, if you sit there and you give me the same bullshit that you gave about Lyra Valkyria the entire time there, of like, oh, she's a good worker, but like, no, these are elite level women's wrestlers, best in the world. Next up, man or woman. Don't give me your bullshit about how like, oh, but they got to have a catchphrase and an entrance and whatever. These women are over based on their wrestling ability. And let that be the case on the main roster. Because if you don't, you're going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say, I hate doing this because it's not because of Zelina Vega. It's not because of the woman that is behind Zelina Vega.
No. Right.
It is ridiculous right now that she's your U.S. champion.
Yeah.
The names you just named, Alex, of who's available. And Zelina Vega, who I think had 5 singles matches on wrestling television in the past 3 years or whatever.
Yes. She's won 5 singles matches since December of 22.
December of 22. Beautiful. Okay. What the is she doing as your women's U.S. champion? Like, honest to God. So if you're going to bring up these women, this crop of women that we're talking about right now, I'm sorry, but like, Zelina has a very special connection with the crowd, and she's certainly not a bad worker. But you cannot call these women up for title adjacent feuds that don't go anywhere.
You gotta put in the work to make her not
gotta do anything with her
before you give her a title shot, even if she wins the title shot. And like, here's another like this is to say nothing of Chelsea Green, who was just re-signed. Like Jambeard bringing up that she was re-elected. Chelsea Green instead of re-signed. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, the former Kaylee Ray. Like, these are people who are the roster is really stacked. If we want them, like, there was a rash of injuries. Like 3 or 4 women went down with crazy long, somebody separated a shoulder, another one tore an ACL or something, somebody broke an ankle, and they're gone. You know what I mean? Or we gotta restock because look what we got. Otherwise, there's lots of women to use. So many that you can just say, well, we're gonna fire Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler, and we don't even use Zoe Stark anymore. Like, there's all these people that are just there that don't get used.
Alex.
So what I don't want is for any of these women who are brilliant to be brought up to do nothing, or to be brought up and take the spot of somebody else who's great, who then does nothing. Where you have enough room for them in NXT right now. You do. You really do.
I really also don't want them brought up to lose, to have a 7-minute match that ends in a DQ. I don't want that either. Like, it's these talent are like too, I say precious, meaning like rare, not like precious because they can't get hit. Because hello, look at today's main event.
No, for sure.
But like, you cannot do the, I'm sorry, dog shit that you've been doing in the mid card with this. Because Chelsea Green as champion lost more than she won. She had like 2 challengers the whole time. It was like Michin 5 times. You haven't done shit with Michin since.
Right.
Lyra had a tag program for WrestleMania. So you created these mid-card women's titles to reward how deep your roster was, and then you've done jack shit with it. So if you're going to pick the cupboard of NXT Baylor on the women's side, you better have a damn plan, because these are not like, oh, they graduated from NXT because there's nothing else more to do there and they move up. These are like best in the world talent. So don't fuck it up like you always do with NXT handoffs. And that's not an NXT fault.
Well, Chisholm says this was the most stardom match that Giulia has had in WWE. It babyface Giulia to the fans. Like her kicking out of stuff, like them cheering for her, and Jordynne Grace being like, "What do I got to do to put away this bitch?" And the crowd being like, "We love Giulia," when they're totally like they're positioning her as Roxanne's sidekick on the main roster, who's just there to like be a thorn in the side of Io. When you realize that if you just give Giulia a shot at doing this kind of thing with somebody, that she's going to be super over as a babyface. And I hope they recognize that and don't just pigeonhole her into like, this is Roxanne's friend. And they're going to be stinkers. Like, I hope they don't do that, because that's right now most of what they're doing. I hope that's not.
Well, and because one of them needs to turn on the other, right? That's the only story they know how to tell.
For sure, that is true. Mr. Bandana Head says Space Jambeard in the honor of Jambeard.
I love that.
Isn't that nice?
A nod to our own. Thank you so much for that.
Jambeard says the Righteous at one point would have been a great 4-man stable of Vincent, Dutch, Lance Archer, and Stu Grayson. But
that would have been very fun. There's a lot of things you could do with the Righteous, man.
Yep.
I dig.
Jambeard also says that Gigi was another big surprise for me in releasing her, and Shotzi just not being re-signed was also an out there choice. Yeah, they never really allowed Shotzi to like capitalize on the stuff that she had, the goodwill that she got with a section of the fans, and then just
it's just weird because poor Tatum lost like her 2 partners in her stable, and her real life partner Javier Bernal got cut in the same day. That's brutal. That's brutal. I hope they don't lose sight of how great Tatum Paxley is, because she is.
Jambeard says that if you really want to insult somebody, you should say that they have their heads so far up their own ass that they are now a human Cheerio. Which is a new thing I've never heard before, but thank you very much, Jambeard. And then finally, yes, this is very true from Jambeard. I hate the fact that one of the big talking points this weekend about the releases was WWE PRing by saying the people in NXT were lazy, who didn't train hard enough, or all this kind of stuff. And I just, man, it's just ridiculous. Because certainly that's not the case.
No one gets into wrestling because they're like, that seems like a breeze.
Yeah,
and you don't get as good at it as Gigi Dolan and Elena Black by doing that. So,
all right, we have a few jukeboxes, and then we're getting out because we're over time. This is from Jambeard. The song request is inspired by her look at the gala. Can we get Gunther to sing Taste by Sabrina Carpenter, but have Kaiser introduce him as the Sing General instead of the Ring General?
Did you see all of that? It was very funny.
No, I have no idea. I don't.
She wore a Gunther outfit with no pants, like to the Met Gala. I don't know what the theme was this year.
What's a Gunther outfit?
Like the jacket. Like she had this very like stately jacket on, but it was fashioned to be like a little like a one piece thing, and then the tail of the jacket went below, like a button jacket.
And there were no pants.
There were no pants. She's not big into the pants. It's like
so
her and Randy Orton.
she's also cosplaying as Randy Orton.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I demand all your gratitude for the Sing General Gunther. Oh, I leave quite an impression. 5 feet to be exact. You're wondering why half his clothes went missing. My body's where they're at. Now I'm gone, but you're still lying next to me. 1 degree of separation. I heard you're back together, and if that's true, you'll just have to taste me when he's kissing you. If you want forever, and I bet you do, just know you'll taste me too. Yeah.
Alex, it's uncanny. Do you want to see this picture?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
It's legitimately the outfit she wore. And that's legitimately a Gunther jacket.
She's a big Gunther fan.
She is.
Big Gunther fan. That's good.
And it's funny because Ludwig Kaiser's with Tiffany, and everybody says Tiffany Stratton looks just like her.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole multiverse.
All right, great. Okay. Jambeard wants Braun Strowman to sing Catch These Fists by Wet Leg, which is just like if you ran Get These Hands through an AI thesaurus. You get Catch These Fists. Here we go.
That's the control your narrative catchphrase.
Can you catch a medicine ball? Can you catch yourself when you fall? You should be careful. Do you catch my drift? Because what I really want to know is, can you catch these fists? Man down. Yeah. Level up. I know all too well just what you're like. I don't want your love. I just want to fight. We're on our way to the club. Stupid is as stupid does. Limousine racking up. Ketamine, giddy up. Yeah. Man down. Yeah. Level up. I know all too well just what you're like. I don't want your love. I just want to fight. Catch these fists.
Something about Braun Strowman saying, yeah. Got me good.
Isn't that the righteous thing? Yeah. No, that was Luke Harper's thing.
Yeah,
that was Brody's thing. Okay, we have 2 things for Linda now. There you go.
The Linda.
Rafael Garcia says Linda sings "I'm Lindana and I want to have fun" because we should all want to have fun.
It's true.
Okay. Hold on. Can't do it without the gloves.
Wait,
Again.
Since Linda's here, can I ask Linda a question?
Yes.
It's very important. Have
please.
you heard
about what? What am I supposed to have heard?
That the A-Rod and the Charlotte Flair might be a thing?
I'm sorry. When they go out, they're gonna have to get a table for 3 so their egos can sit in one seat.
Oh, stop it!
I'm sorry. I'm just saying what I think. I'm just saying,
stop it.
Come on.
Wild?
Like, okay,
they were spotted at multiple basketball games together.
We all know that A-Rod has a picture of himself as a centaur. What mythical being do you think Charlotte Flair has a picture in her house of herself painted as? I'm going to say Gorgon.
I feel like Centaur really owns that whole space.
Sure.
I'm going to Google a Gorgon right now and see if I agree with you. I'll agree with you on that.
See, I know my mythical beings.
You do know your mythical beings. I'm not mad about that choice.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Now, I'm going to sing I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I'm not Roxanne. I'm not Eileen. I'm not Sharona. And I don't want to study, work, or stay at home. I'm Linda. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I want to have fun. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I'm Linda. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I want to have fun. I wanna have fun. I'm not Veronica or Allison or Donna, and I don't want to scrub the sink or mow the lawn. I'm Linda. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I want to have fun. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I'm Linda. I'm Lindana and I want to have fun. I want to have fun. I want to have fun. I think we can all,
There's something really special about when the Linda says one word 3 times. Fun.
Fun. Like the HHH.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Oh, yes, the H-as. That's what you would call them together. Their couple name is the H-as.
The H-as.
So T-Electric Mayhem sent in a sour chat. So I'm going to read it. Happy Tuesday, SGS. I had to sign off early last week, and when I watched back, my breakfast puns weren't mentioned. Oh, no. We must have lost the breakfast puns. We apologize, but here they are.
Oh, no. This is what happens when Luis isn't here.
The Bad Scrapple, Brian Keith. Hash Wheeler. The Beast Muffin. Katsuyori Frittata. That's a Mary. That's fantastic. See, with the frittata, what happened with the frittata, with the Katsuyori Frittata?
It had its potato taken out of its.
They took his egg out of his brain. They took his egg out of his. They took his egg out of his head. Out of his head. They took his egg out of his head. Katsuyori Frittata.
Just wild.
Rikishi. Rikishi, who's having a fantastic heel run right now.
Oh, fantastic.
Also, send ham. Not hook.
Send ham.
Thank you.
I
Wonderful. T-Electric Mayhem, so sorry we missed it with last week, but we got him this week. I'm so sorry. So, one last Jack in the Box? Juke in the Box. That's what it is. Jack in the Box is not that. A Jack in the Box. A Juke in the Box like structure. Jambeard says that Alex should be punished for his Hendry hate, so Linda to sing Judas by Fozzy. Okay, here we go. I'm Googling.
I can't believe you don't know every word.
You can't believe that I don't know the words to the Fozzy song. Judas
I'm shocked.
by Fozzy lyrics. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm becoming. You are beautiful on the inside. You are innocence personified. And I will drag you down and sell you out. Run away. I am cold like December snow. I have carved off this soul made of stone, and I will drag you down and sell you out. Embraced by the darkness, I'm losing the light. Encircled by demons, I fight. What have I become? Now that I've betrayed everyone I've ever loved, I pushed them all away, and I have been a slave to the Judas in my mind. Is there something left of me to save? In the wreckage of my life. I'm becoming. Judas in my mind. I'm becoming. Judas in my mind.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
It was beautiful.
Wonderful. Oh, this guilt is a heavy cross, baby. There's blood on the path I walk, and each step I take is haunting me. Embraced by the darkness, baby, I'm losing the light. Encircled by demons I fight, if you will. What have I become, baby? Now that I betrayed everyone I've ever loved, I pushed them all away, and I've been a slave to the Judas in my mind. There's something left of me to save. in the wreckage of my life. I become in. Judith in my mind. I'm becoming. Judith in my mind. Thank you.
It was beautiful. 10,400 people watching across platforms. And they all were like, I'm just hanging in there to see Ricky Rainbow because I know he's the grand finale.
It's true. Every time it's me. I'm the grand
It's
finale.
so true.
I go on last.
You're a legend.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, keep cool, gabagoos.
Yeah.